Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Moneecia Johnson, and this is Breakout Talk. And so, this talk show, we will discuss different conversations, have different conversations about different topics, but we also will include Christ. So today I would like to welcome all of my guests. We will go around and allow them to introduce themselves. Please follow each and every person on this panel. Personally, I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day and your schedules to come here. So thank you for pouring into me and loving me in that manner. So thank you. So we can start with Marcella. You can introduce yourself, and then we'll just pass the mic. Thank you for coming again.
My name's Marcella Lash. You can follow me on Instagram at Miss Lash88. I am a bodybuilder, a fitness enthusiast, and also a nurse.
My name is Benjamin Lewis. You can follow me on all social media at 216 Muscle. I'm a health and wellness coach and a brand building coach.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rosada White. You can follow me on all platforms at Rosada Marie. I'm a wellness strategy coach. I'm also a nutrition specialist and a workshop facilitator.
Good day, everyone. My name is Juan Tony. You can follow me, Juan Tony, on all social media platforms, integrative life coach, sports nutritionist, and master personal trainer.
Hi, my name is LaShante Williams. You can follow me on IG at Williams LaShante Part 2, Facebook, LaShante Williams. I am a registered nurse. I'm also a personal trainer. I'm also a nutrition coach and a fitness enthusiast.
Philly Wheaton, personal trainer and gym owner.
Antonio Coleman, known as Coach Coleman. I own my own facility. And then also in all social medias, you can follow me at GameSpeedPA on all social medias. And I'm just a coach. I coach in everything physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially.
Never say just. My name is Ron Chiselton. I am a You can follow me on all social media at In Pursuit of PT. Personal trainer, group exercise instructor, fitness coach, et cetera, et cetera. Been in it for a long time and just getting started.
So what inspired me to have this show was there were many things in my life, let's just say myself. I found myself being my own enemy, as in trying to lose weight, and it has been an ongoing battle. And I've talked to many people, and everybody has their own reason of why it's difficult, why they may not work out, why it's so hard, or they gave up on themselves. And I thought about the church, and when I look around in church, there's so many different people that's there, and we talk about different topics, but we seem to miss gluttony, being overweight or overeating, and these are real things that many people struggle with. And so I wanted to ask if someone can answer this question. A few people can answer this question, but is there anyone here who actually struggled with weight before you got into personal training?
Probably everybody but Philly Wheaton. And maybe no, I'm just saying. Can I start at 355 pounds and no muscle? That was so when we talk about things regarding, let's say, specialties and your niche and things like that, the way I've been able to get across to the clients is because I've been on the other side. And I'm only 42, so I've been on longer. I didn't drop anything until I was 25. So I've not lived half my life in shape, quote unquote. So it's easier to understand what they're going through, and then you can still differentiate the excuse versus the actual struggle. So yeah, that's probably 80% of most trainers, at least in this area. But I'll leave it with that.
So, I started my fitness journey at 260 pounds. And I didn't even get started until I was in my 30s after I had my daughter. And so one thing I've learned over time was it's not always the motivation that's going to get you there, because some days you're not motivated to do anything. It's learning that discipline, learning that and having that discipline within yourself, saying, I have to get up and do this, not only for me, for my daughter, for my community, to be a better servant for God. So a lot of times we think about how much we serve and serving the people. I can't be a servant to others if I'm not even taking care of myself. And so in my fitness journey, I've learned that taking care of myself comes first, which enables me to be a better servant for everybody else.
So for me, I was 240, and it was a huge struggle. It was a real struggle. I think the biggest part that was a struggle for me, because as long as I grew up, fitness was never embedded into me at all. I don't know about nobody else, but nobody ever talked about fitness. It was go to college, get a career, do this, do that. So in my mind, my goal was always to go to college, get a career, and do that. And then I look around, and here I am, a registered nurse with a master's degree, have a degree in theology, associate degree in this, 20 degrees, but I'm unhealthy, I'm overweight, I can't breathe, and then I'm teaching my patients things, and they're looking at me like, how you gonna teach me about being a diabetic? What's your blood sugar? So when you look at, you're teaching somebody the right way, but you can't even follow it yourself, and then there's nobody around you that is preaching it, it makes it more difficult. So like Marcella said, it had to get to where it's the discipline, because there's still nobody around me other than my gym community that is into fitness. Family full of nurses, healthcare professionals, but everybody's the same thing: gluttony, overweight, obesity. We were in the church, have a ministerial license, sister's a preacher's wife, the whole 9 yards. But that fitness piece was never there, because there were certain things that was embedded in it. When I was growing up, it was get a college degree, focus on that. Everything else was kind of swept under the rug until I became the person that I'm teaching my patient, and I'm looking at them and they looking back at me. And I had a patient say, well, what's your blood sugar? And I didn't understand then why they asked me that. Looking now, and I was 234 pounds teaching them about their blood sugar, and they looking at me like, well, what's yours? And I'm telling them what to eat, what not to eat, and they still looking at me like, really? You're preaching to me, you're the nurse, but you're telling me, and here I am looking better than you. And when it clicks, it's like, wow. It's like, wow.
For me, I've actually been on both sides of the fence. I've been an athlete my entire life. But when I went to college to play football at the University of Akron, let me rephrase that. When I went to college and focused on football, women, and mischievous deeds, and then my college education was taken away from me, the ability to play football was taken away from me, and football became a job in college. So the last thing I wanted to see when I left school was the gym. So I was still eating like I was playing ball. I was still eating like I was training. And I found myself at 290 plus pounds. I'll just say plus, because once it hit 290, I stopped getting on scales. So I don't really know how high I got. But I found a faith in fitness, I found a love in fitness, and I found myself in fitness. All I really did was take all of the things that I did in corporate America for over 20 years and apply them to my life and business in fitness. And then I found a part of myself that had been missing. So I was in great shape up until about the age of 25. And then I was then I was in the worst shape of my life until I was 30. I look at pictures of myself when I was 30 and I look older than I do at 45. And then at the age of 31, something clicked in me, and I got up one day thinking I'm still an athlete, and I said, I'm gonna get up tomorrow morning and I'm gonna run 5 miles. And I ran one, and then I limped one back home, but I didn't stop at that point. I said, okay, I'll run a mile, and then I'll walk a mile. So I would go to the gym, get on a treadmill, run a mile, walk a mile, until I could run 2, and then walk 1, until I could run 3, and then walk 1. And that's when the weight started coming off, and I was able to find my balance in health and wellness.
So, Mr. Coleman is here, and he may not realize I was like in my 20s, and we was at a church picnic, and he talked about self-love. and he was stating to us, some of us, about what self-love is. And part of working out and eating correctly is self-love. And the way he broke it down to me, I was looking at him like, you know, it's good to have someone to speak the truth. And sometimes we really don't want to hear the truth, but we need to hear the truth. And those who share the truth with us are those who love us. So if anybody can hit on self-love, as into physical fitness, mental, or spiritually, if you would like to touch on that. It's an open forum, y'all, so chill.
Well, yeah, far as first and foremost, you gotta have, love for yourself. Because anytime you wake up in the morning, you get a chance to co-create with the Creator. But we get out in front, and the subconscious get to running our day, and we forget about self. So what we got to do, take time out each day before your feet hit the floor, before you check your social media. Claim yourself. You're becoming a toned, lean, healthy person. You got to put it out there and begin to make the transition, because there's an initial phase. That's the hard part, the first 0 to 45 days when you begin to really try to make that shift. You got to believe within yourself you deserve to be as such. Then you begin to shift and you allow it. That's when the manifestation begins. But it's that everything has an incubation and a gestation process. If you're not totally showing love to yourself daily, it's easy to abort the mission.
Let me share the definition of self-love. So it says self-love, love of self, such as an appreciation of one's own worth and virtue. I'm going to read 1 John 3:18 and 20 from the Message Bible. It says, "My dear children, let's not just talk about love. Let's practice real love. This is the only way we'll know we're living truly, living in God's reality. It's also the way to shut down debilitating self-criticism, even when there is something to it. For God is greater than our worried hearts and knows more about us than we do ourselves." And so as we talk about love and the love of God, it talked about self-criticism. How can self-criticism play a part of destroying someone's motivation to get up and to go and to push? Because all of you are not just fitness trainers, bodybuilders, nutritionists. You guys are also business owners, so we can speak from a holistic manner. How can self-criticism destroys one motivation to get up, to do work, to exercise, to be self-disciplined?
Well, it takes a special someone to understand where they're at in life, to understand where they want to go. Not everybody is strong enough mentally, spiritually, to know what the journey takes, right? So that's why we have careers and jobs in this business, because we can relate. And not only that, we know what it takes to get to the level you want to get to, no matter what level you're on. I've always said that there's a trainer for everybody, and one person can't train everybody. So you have to, it's a marriage. It's a marriage when it comes to being better in life, period. Everybody has a coach for something, whether it's physically, whether it's mentally, whether it's spiritually. There's someone should have in their life where they can lean on, bounce ideas off of, and somebody who can check them and let them know, yo, this ain't the way to go. So self-criticism is a real thing, because it's just like body shaming. Like you just feel like, I can't do it, I won't do it. And once you get around people who have done it and people who are doing it, then you're able to succeed that much better.
I think the self-criticism leads to those self-sabotaging behaviors as well. So you say, I'm too fat, or I can't do this, my knees hurt, right? And then the easy part of not even trying is to sit back and do nothing. And then you self-sabotage your progress. You self-sabotage yourself. You go and eat the cheeseburger, right? You're like, oh, well, I'm not going to work out today. I'm just going to forget it. I'm going to sit back and relax, right? So when you start to self-criticize yourself, you ultimately are self-sabotaging.
Philly touched on it with everybody should have a coach for whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. The other thing you need is community. Coaching and community will take you a long way, because when you're having those moments like Marcella just spoke of, I don't feel like getting up today. There's a lot of times where even who I am, I tell my clients, I get sore, I get tired, I wake up at 3:30 every morning. I don't always want to go to the gym when I'm done. I want to go get back in my bed and take a nap. But my lady and myself, we work out together. So some of the days that I'm showing up to the gym is just because I know if I don't show up, I'm going to be held accountable by the person I'm leaving hanging. And I've noticed that with some of my clients. Like, I have clients now that have built friendships through their time in our classes and in training and things of that nature. And I ain't got to say nothing. They will call each other out. Marcella just told me what she wants me to do to some of the other clients tomorrow with their legs. And that's the accountability that comes with the community. So when you start focusing and change it from criticism to critique and start finding the pieces where you can improve and finding it to be your purpose in life, that mind shift, when you get coaching, critique, and community together, can't nothing stop you.
So I think, in addition to what everyone else said, I think one of the biggest things is we, as a people, we prioritize a lot of things except ourselves. And for me, when I was looking at my list of priorities, I wasn't even on it. It was like, I'm here for this person, I'm here for that person, I'm doing that for this. And then I'm like, but where am I at? And now everybody around me is looking good, feeling supported, and then I'm not doing it for myself, you know. And I just got into the personal training thing, getting my feet wet still. But one of the things I tell my clients is, you know, you got to give yourself grace. You got to look in the mirror and know you're worth it, you deserve it. Because you show everybody else that they're worth it, why not show yourself? You know, and when it comes to weight loss and fitness, my clients laugh at me, but one of the things I tell them, that same grace you gave all that food you put in your stomach to get like that, give yourself that same grace. Because you didn't gain it overnight, so you're not going to lose it overnight. So when you have that self-doubt or, you know, that self-criticism of saying what you can or cannot do, as much emphasis as you put into putting the wrong things in your body, put that much emphasis as helping getting them out of your body.
What would you say to someone? Tay made a major point. Many people can show up for everyone else, but not show up for yourself. What does it take for someone to show up for themselves?
Well, you looking dead at me. So, like I said, for me, which my brand is me versus me, and where it comes from is because, again, when I saw that I wasn't a priority, I'm like, how do I change this mindset? How do I change this behavior? Because a lot of times it's a mindset. Like being said, you don't always feel like going to do anything. And Marcella said it's a discipline. So I think when it comes to you have to change your mindset. You have to change that behavior, because it's not going to always be about how you feel. Because if it was how we all feel, none of us would probably be here right now today. We'd be somewhere doing what we actually feel like doing, like not even getting out of bed half the time. So it's about changing your mindset and realizing what it is that you deserve. Because, again, only the work that you do for you, that's what's going to matter. It's not going to matter if Philly hit the weights and he's bench pressing 250, 350. Whatever he do for him, it ain't going to touch on Ron's body. Whatever Marcella do if she do 20 lunges, it ain't going to help my legs. Like, so you got to look at what can you do for you. Because, again, as much as we admire other people, if we don't start to admire ourselves and our abilities, we're not going to get anywhere. We're just not.
Yeah, and you have to implement the intention, because it's important that, you know, you have a goal set, but if the goal isn't clear enough, you'll never see it. So, you know, one thing I coach on is creating visualization. We all have something called the reticular activating system. It's our internal GPS. It's the God-given tool to make us see clearer through visualization. So you get a visual, and I use the analogy of Google Maps. We all have a Google map. We know how to use that. That's your long-term vision. So you get that vision, you know where you want to go. But if you don't inscribe it daily, so you have to make the connection by writing to yourself love letters on the person you're becoming as such. And you have to do this daily to make what's called synaptic connections. These new wires inside our brains to get connected to create these new thought patterns, because the habitual habits have us who we are right now. So we have to create new habits, which takes the implementation intention. So opposed to say, I'm getting up and I'm going to the gym, you have to write down the time you're going to be there, what you plan to do, and the goal you want to execute as far as calories burned, water drank, whatever the workout is. And then at the end of the day, you acknowledge that victory, and that releases something called dopamine. We have these God-given chemicals inside us to keep our energy on a certain level, but we do not know how to tap into them. You set the goal, you hit the goal, dopamine is released. Now you got high dopamine, you got high oxytocin, you got high endorphins. These are all natural chemicals he gave us to stay on this natural buzz. But it takes a team of the community to teach how to tap into that fuel so you don't need that pharmaceutical. Before there was pharmaceutical, there was nutraceutical. God made everything for us, as far as vitamins, minerals, and the thought process to be as such and move as such, but it takes the community to help get out there and make it happen. So
I think there's something to be said for many of us not having the capacity, or at least the skill set, to tap into the intrinsic aspect of this, because we're all on this panel, and there are many of us, many people in the community that see us as motivation, and we know that folks come up to us and say, okay, you motivated me to do this, and I started this because I saw you doing this, and you just kept showing up, so thank you for continuing to do that. What can support that long-term success is someone saying, again, intrinsic versus extrinsic. Am I internally able to motivate myself? But that comes from that employing accountability. And when, as Tay talked about, and Marcel's talked about, how we don't do enough to pour into ourselves first. Well, many people don't know why that's important. So you've got to do the inventory for yourself to say, why is it important that I show up for my daughter? Like, get deeper with it, because that's going to be the thing that fuels you when motivation doesn't, when it's cold and crazy outside, or when you wake up with a headache, or when it's nice outside, and you're trying to, everything else is threatening to thwart your progress or the steps that you need to take to continue to live a better life. But if you're not in a space where you have that deep down, well, why am I doing this? Why am I showing up? And if someone's not holding you accountable to that, how many people have you talked to? I'm talking to us up here, where they say, I'm ready, but I gotta, homecoming is coming, and so the baby needs whatever to, my heart, and he going, and then it's prom, and then it's their sports and their things, right? Not understanding the first thing, and that's where that self-love comes back into play, where if you're not in touch with showing up for yourself, okay, here I go. You're telling yourself a lie if you're saying that you're doing this because you love them. If you're not showing up for yourself first, that is the true testament of the love that you're giving to them. You have to be able to give it to yourself first, because we love to say, you can't pour from an empty cup. Yes, and what are you filling your cup with? Because if you're not filling it with the right thing, I don't want it. Are you not showing up for yourself from a place of integrity? And I don't mean, what do you do when nobody's watching? I mean from a sense of wholeness and fullness. And if that is not something that you can show through action, because love gets to be intention, love gets to be an action, love gets to be that verb, and that's where it all stems from. So, and this is how you see people make progress and then they fall off. Because as soon as, it was all good until I went on vacation. It was all good until I got sick. It was all good until the weather changed. It was all good until I moved. It was all good until I got a new job. Well, then it wasn't, the intrinsic piece of that was not solidified. It wasn't cemented. And that's where we get to employ accountability and say, okay, how can I create a scenario where this is just part of who I am? It doesn't have to be dogged into me, bullied into me, criticism cast aside. You get to know why you're showing up for you before you show up for anybody else, because that's the ultimate act of selflessness, truth be told.
So now let's talk about what that looks like. We've all talked about what needs to be done, but how do you actually practice that preach? every tool has a purpose, right? We have cell phones and we have smartwatches for a purpose. But what happens when every time your phone makes a sound, you reach for it? Every time your smartwatch buzzes, you look at it. Give yourself 1 hour every day to pour into yourself. I don't care if that hour is spent praying, meditating, researching, focusing on your health and wellness. Give yourself 1 hour a day to detach from the world. There was a point in time where before we had cell phones and smartwatches, if you went to the gym to work out, no one could interrupt you. And you focused on that workout. Detach from the world for 1 hour a day. 15 minutes of meditation, 15 minutes of prayer, 30 minutes on the treadmill. That's what that looks like. Because then when you come out with that dopamine and those endorphins and all of that natural spirituality within you, then you can give that energy to others. But if you're spending your hour that you're supposed to be in the gym building yourself up, still texting and still talking to people and hold on, I got to take this, you never got to fill your cup in that time when you were focused on you because you didn't focus on you. Give yourself 1 hour a day. That's what that looks like so that you could take the other 23 hours to focus on others. Just 1 hour a day.
And 1 hour is only 4% of 24. You can do it. 1 hour is only 4% of 24 hours in a day. Time's our most valuable asset, but we waste it, spend it, and lose it rather than invest in it.
So I want to mention God right now. For those of you who believe in God, and you have been on this journey, how has God blessed you just believing in him and in your business, whatever you feel to share? Even some of you guys, I've watched you guys, and you have a great community, and you have unity. And so let me read this about unity. It says, it's the quality or state of not being, a definite amount taken as one or which one is made to stand in calculation. So I looked up a scripture, Colossians 3:12 and 14 message. It says, chosen by God, for in this new life of love, dressed in the wardrobe God picked out for you. Compassion, kindness, humility, quiet strength, discipline. Be even tempered, content with second place, quick to forgive an offense. Forgive as quickly and completely as a master forgave you. And regardless of what else you put on, wear love. It's your basic, all-purpose garment. Never be without it. So in that scripture, it hit on unity, it hit on love, it hit on forgiveness as well. And those are things that we all, when we demonstrate or display those things, that's why people keep coming back to you. That's why people support you from those qualities. So if anyone can speak to those qualities as in being a business person, a woman, or a man of God, please share.
Nothing has happened without God. Nothing. I used to work out in the back of the Word Church. I used to work out my athletes and things like that. COVID hit, and the church shut down. Everything shut down. So I had to find a new place in the middle of COVID when it happened in 2020. And I opened up the gym in October of 2020. But I had stopped working out there in June. So from June to October, I had to build and create a facility with God's help. So on each wall, there's a scripture on each wall when you walk into the gym to show my appreciation, my thanks. And if you look up on the pillars, it's God's names all the way down. Because he, the one who built it, he just used me as a vessel. And so I really couldn't identify, but I learned a lot from everyone who spoke here because I never dealt with weight loss. I've never dealt with weight loss. I've always dealt with athletes. So athletes' weight is relative to whatever sport they play. So you may need to gain weight or lose weight according to that. But they deal with all of the same emotions and things like that because of their performance. So I base everything off of performance, not weight, because those things are byproducts. I may gain weight or lose weight according to how I perform. So if I tell someone, if you want to, what is your goal? Your goal is not to lose 5 or 6 pounds. Your goal is what it is. Your goal is, I want to be able to do, say, 12 pull-ups. If you only can do 5, by the time you get 12, your body composition has changed. So I always tell people, get a goal, and your goal ain't weight loss. What is your goal? I got people that I train for the combine or train for pro days, and they come in, well, I want to run a 4.40. They come in running a 5-second 40. By the time we get closer to that 4.40 to run 4.6, 4.8, their body composition has changed. So I tell them reach a goal, because that's what I did. I put inside my mind, just like I said, visualization, already seeing what the place looked like, and it was my wife who picked the place, because I was looking all over Cleveland. I want to be here, I want to be here, I want to have this location, have this. And we walked in. My wife has nothing to do with it. She is the principal, or she is the principal of principals at Cleveland Heights University High School District. And so she walked into the place, she looked at it, she said, this is where we're going to be. And I was like, men, please listen to your wives, because they have wisdom. Do you understand? When I looked at it, I said, here, I sat down on the wall and looked at it, and my vision came alive. And I saw it, and I said, look at God. When he gave me a help meet. You understand? And she has come from my side, not in front, not in back, but my side. And she's there all the time. 20 years, July 24th, it'd be 20 years this year. So, with that being said, you're talking about God leading your way through everything. Intrinsic in everything that I have done up until this point with my sons. I got 2 sons. One is in the 12th, one is 11th grade at Solon High School. Even with them. And the worst thing me and my wife have to say to my sons is, you ain't clean up your room. You ain't washed them dishes. And so we yelling and stuff. And that night I looked at her, I said, if that is the worst thing that we got to say to our sons, I'll sign up for it every time. Every single time. And so those are the worst things that I come from my sons. And so even my wife, when you sit up there and we argue and we laugh about things, because that's my best friend. She even woke up this morning, what we doing today? We going to hang out today? I said, well, I got to do this podcast. I'll see what we got to do. But I hang out with my wife. That's my best friend. Like I said, all this is intrinsic of God. He blessed me with that. And I'm going to tell y'all, I don't have time to tell y'all my story, how we met in 5th grade. And that we're here today. But it was nothing but God for my whole life as I look back, even with my mother, everything was God that brought it out in me, around me, that my children, my brothers, everything. And the community helped me, because it was the money that was like in the middle of COVID. Couldn't find no loans. You couldn't find nothing. There was people who I trained in the past, trained their kids, and they came to me like, we're going to donate $10,000 to your cause. We're gonna donate this to your cause because of what you did for my child. You don't understand. And I didn't realize that, because I was constantly, like you said, pouring into people, because I learned how to love myself a long time ago. And so I knew how to love children, because that's what I dealt with all the time, and a lot of teenage children. And I was changing their lives for the best, because it was just a example of what I came through. And so I was getting parents who were telling me that you helped my kid get to the state championship, but you also freed her mind. That's right. You helped my child accomplish their goal, but you also made them love themselves. And so with that, I got a guy, and I didn't realize it, multi-millionaire. His child went to Hathaway Brown, and he was like, your money is no good around me. Anytime you with me, I'm paying for it, whatever, and we're going to find out, we're going to make sure that this gym get built. And that's how Game Speed Performance Academy came about.
That was a beautiful testimony. Thank you so much. The battery in my back, if it wasn't one before, you know what I mean? Thank you so much.
Before you go,
Yes.
he said that his wife is wisdom. To all the single men, there are single women, and that's all I'll say.
For me, when we talk about building a business, what I have been admonished to continue to stay focused on, or really I've been, when it comes to God and what he has done in my life for the benefit of others and to be a blessing unto others. Obedience. Obedience was the biggest lesson I had to learn. Let me tell you what happened. I knew at a point, I started personal training, and that was something that really came very easily and naturally to me, and just that whole thing, and I just wore it well. And then there came a time where I thought that I needed to be doing something else. Now, I've always been tapped, just a born leader, kicked about it, and as a result, put myself in a position where I was working. I became full-time employed with an organization. I was working within my zone of excellence, not genius. And as a result, that position had me stressed all the way out, okay? It had me, the energy in my house was wild because they didn't know what kind of bag I was gonna come out of coming home. I was cranky on Sundays because I had to go back on Monday. I was getting up early, going to bed late, very stressed, and it permeated throughout my entire household. As a result, I gained weight because of stress. It was just, nothing had changed. It was stress that I was carrying a weight. The weight manifested. The weight I was carrying here was manifested physically. And that was a hard lesson in obedience. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. So I'm gonna show you what happens when you're not listening to me, when you're not heeding my voice. And then, so mind you, this was after degreed in nutrition and dietetics. This is after becoming a certified personal trainer. This is after knowing how to do all the things. So it's not just about the skill set, right? It's about how we show up and how we manifest that skill set. And as soon as I said, okay, you know what, I'm listening to you, that's when I began to hew to the line and let the chips fall where they may, that's when the blessings came, and I mean in a way in which I get to make an impact. And then I meet someone for the first time in real life after helping her online, and she's all the way across the country, and the first thing she says to me is, "You changed my life." That is why I was supposed to show up in obedience. And that is something, that's inventory I have to take every day, because there are so many things out here that threaten to, oh, there's this opportunity, and come on, it's time to get this bag and this collaboration and this opportunity. And it's like, does that align with your assignment, truly? Are you being obedient to the assignment that you were charged with? When we're charged with something, we talk about when the Lord charges you. What do you do when your battery's dying in your phone? We know. We don't want to go past 49%. Where's the charge? You got a charger? What kind of phone you got? Right? We've been charged. Being charged is energy being put into you, electrical impulses. Now you get to do something with that. Now there's power there. What are you doing with that? Are you deciding that you're going to ignore that charge? Because you know what? That's going to light you up in a different way. I would advise against it.
Piggyback off what she said and your question about God. So the one thing about God that I know, and I'm sure we can all relate when it comes to being trainers and other things, is he meets us where we are. And that's a huge thing when it comes to dealing with people, to meet them where they are, because not everybody is going to come to you on the same level. Not everybody is going to be that athlete, or everybody's going to be that bench presser or bodybuilder. People come to you on different levels. So when you're displaying that unity and that love, it's treating people as the individuals that they are and meeting them where they are. And that's how God comes to us. He meets us where we are, and then he changes us from within. Because all of us up here, although we may have a lot in common, we're different in so many ways. Yet he works through each one of us. So when you ask, how does God relate to that? It's because he meets us where we are, and that's how we have to do when we're out in the field, whether we're training, whether we're coaching, whether we're teaching athletes or whatever. We have to meet the individual where they are. And the old saying used to be, treat people how you want to be treated. No. You treat people as the individuals that they are, because what may be a sign of respect to her may be a sign of disrespect to him. And then as you study other cultures, you realize that and you understand that. And God is all about treating us as the individuals that we are, because he said we were made in the likeness and image of him. What does that look like? Clearly, we all look different. So clearly, who can say what that image looks like? So when it comes to God, yes, that's how you incorporate God. You meet people where they are, and that's how you reach them. When you try to reach beyond that, you lose them. And I think we all can attest to that. You lose them. You wonder why you got people that hop here and hop there, go there and go there. And you're trying to figure out, wait a minute, what did I do wrong? That's because you didn't meet them where they were. And you're setting the expectation beyond where they're able to go, because some people do have a limitation. Some people do have that. So when you look at that, if you truly love what you're doing, if you're trying to build that unity, meet that individual where they are so that they feel a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging. And that's how you minimize them feeling like they have to compete, or there's a competition, or they have to do better than somebody else, because then they start to focus on everything but themselves, because you're trying to push them to be like everybody around them versus the individuals that they are. And that's not how God operates.
Tay touched on building. So I would like to ask, what does it take for a trainer, a bodybuilder, a nutritionist to build on their community, to build the community, to build trainers, to build the gym, the business? Share about that. How do you build, and what's important in building?
Well, for me, what I share, whether it's the business owner, whether it's the person trying to release weight, gain weight, and so forth, there's goal, system, and identity. You have to have a goal, as Coach said, because that's your bullseye. And with every goal, there's a certain system you have to follow to hit the bullseye. You can lose focus of the goal, but if you follow the system, you still will hit the bullseye. But the most important component is the identity. Who are you going to be when you shift into this new version of yourself? Because you can't be the same person who was doing the same thing when you were chasing that goal, because you're someone different now. So have your goal set and walk on the edge. Walk on the edge. Don't be scared to take that leap of faith, but walk on the edge, because you're being carried on your journey, but you got to have a goal you're trying to get to. But most importantly, keep your eye on the vision and the identity, because it's already happening.
It takes support, it takes acknowledgement, and it takes information. People will do what they want to do when they have the right information. When they have the right information, they're able to be exactly who they thought they could be before even taking the first step. It's just that in this industry, just like many other industries, in this industry, information has become hush, right? And it's a few of us out here who are willing to tell people how, show people how, and even hold their hand and walk them down. That's how we build the industry. That's how we build the community. That's how we build homes. A lot of us can't use the excuse of no one showed me, no one told me, because there's someone out there who will and can and is able to. I was that person, a long time ago, asking for help, and I could have became bitter after it, but I became better, and I said, I'm not going to be this person to the next person. And that's why, I am who I am today, it's because I want to see people be successful. I want to see people succeed in whatever it is they want to do. I want them to do it, because, just imagine a world full of people doing what they want to do, not doing what they have to do, but what they want to do. And that's how you love the place that you're in, is because you were shown the way, and, it's appreciative, and people give back, whether you do it from a good place. That's the key. Don't do it for the return. Do it, to see people go.
Let me continue from that. So we just keep it in the train because it's important, like was said, you pour back into by giving back and reaching back. And I think these are my thoughts, that a lot of people don't for fear of somebody passing them up, whereas what's for you is for you and what's for them is for them. So somebody like myself and everybody on the panel, because I've seen it, give to, because it's, again, everybody has there's a trainer for everyone. I don't want to train everybody. I have no desire to do that. But the people that fit that line and that demographic. So that all comes back to community. It also comes back to, it was said earlier that we should all have a coach. And that includes the business aspect of it too. So when I'm asked, hey, who's your coach? I always go back to mentors and I always name them in order of how I met them and why I met them. I always say Gwen McIntyre, I say Stephen Todd, and I say Juan Tony. And so because we all do this. And I went this way and then I went this way in the fitness part. Didn't lose, but was losing at one point. 2014, 15. And I was back into corporate America out of like main fitness for a little bit. But I knew who Juan was, didn't know him personally. And it was one of them things, this is when God puts people in your life. So Juan remembers the conversation we spoke on a few months ago. Now, what he doesn't know is the conversation I was having because I was lost, looking for stuff. Give me a sign. Got the sign the next day. I'm talking about free game. He had to get that to me. This is when you see the Tony Robbins of the world and people out here doing the prosperity thing and everything, and they charge you, a brand new car for like the seminar and things like that. No, Juan came, I was working at a bank. Juan came in, doing his thing, and then talked to me and then said this. Basically gave me a different version of a vision board. But with that one piece, it then opened everything else to be able to navigate and find everything I was looking for. But it started with that one thing. I thank you for that. And it always comes back to, you have to do it that way. You can't just withhold information like, I got this, go find it on your own. No, I'll give back. Because like, what does it look like for me to keep something and then you take it and go meet somebody I'm never going to meet in life anyway? So, yeah, you always pour back in, and then, again, you do it for the right reasons, not for the good karma, but you don't want to, the universe will get you that way too. So I always feel like once you put forth and then you go ahead, it's not hand over fist. It's just create what you want to see, because there's enough for everybody out here, especially with what we do and the obesity epidemic right outside. There's enough, or athletes trying to get in for whatever the lane is. There's enough for everybody.
To build community. To build community is flat out one word, and that is love. How do I build that? I remember when I was doing network marketing, and I was going back and forth, and I had it was called the Noni juice. I don't know if anybody did the Noni juice. I had to teach Noni juice. I went from jade to pearl, all that, selling the Noni juice and everything. I had people in Toledo, Columbus, all this traveling, and I hated it. I hated doing the seminars. I hate doing the talks. I hated it all the time. And so I went all the way down to Atlanta to find out. There was a guy who was speaking, and he said that if you do not do what you love on a daily basis, then you're going to have a job. But he said, but if you do what you love, you will never work another day in your life. And so I was just like, man, what do I love more than anything? And then that's when I started learning in church at the time that your love is your passion. What are you passionate about? And I'm here to tell you that people will pay you for your passion. So I was training, like I said, in the back of the Word Church, and I was training. There was a guy who had a son that played soccer. And I'm telling you, I had like zero equipment. We was doing box jumps on chairs. We was doing, just basically no equipment. I was trying to do my best, whatever. And I explained to the guy my philosophy and what I do for training kids or whatever. And he like, so, how much do you charge or whatever on my son to work out with you? So his son now is in the military. He's actually a Navy SEAL. And he actually trained with me from when he was 11, 12 years old, all the way until he graduated from high school. And so I asked him not too long ago, I said, why did you pick me to train your son? He said, it was your passion. The way you explained to me what you were doing and why you wanted to do it and how you wanted to pour into these children, I wanted my son to have that. And he said, I didn't know how to give it to him, and you did. So I paid you to train my son. And that's when I understood that passion, people will pay you for your passion. They will pay you for your love, what you love. So to come in and train with me, you have to first go through an assessment. I want to assess you. I want to see how you move biomechanically. I want to see how you follow what I say by being coachable, things like that. And then I tell the parents that if I'm going to take their money or not. Because if your kid truly wants to do this, they'll tell me that through their body language. They'll tell me if they truly want to, be involved in this, because I'm not here to just money grab. I'm here to actually help these children. So once I do the assessment, then I tell them, how many days a week they should work out, things like that. So then now they see my passion, my love for what I have, and then now I see the love that they have for what they want to do. And then I see the parents' love for their children on how they want to now pour into their kids to be able to get this. So when I say that, building your community, how I have done it, is through love, love, and love. You got to make sure that you love what you do, that you pour into these kids, and that you're helping them with something that they love. And I tell you, parents will pay for them before they pay for themselves. And so with that, I then now have some of the parents and things like that working out too, because it was like, well, we want to get some of this as well. And I'm just like, okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to go home and I want you to throw away your scale. I don't even want you to look at your scale anymore. I want you to set your goals, and we're going to reach each goal. How many push-ups you want to do, how far you want to run, how fast you want to run. We're going to do those goals, and then I want you to take your clothes and things like that and try them on after a month, and you tell me then, are you looking like you want to look? Because we can sit on that scale and go back and forth on that scale and get very discouraged about that scale because it fluctuates every day. So I don't even want to even look at the scale. What I may do, I may measure you for some inches, but I never look at the scale. So this facade of weight loss of you got to lose weight, you got to lose weight, you got to lose weight. Because sometimes we'll lose a bunch of muscle along with the fat, and then we're looking like a trash bag. I mean, just keep it real. So we want to make sure that we're building hypertrophy, we're building the muscle, along with losing the fat, and then you start to look like you want to look. Yes. Amen. So that's how you build a community. You build it with love.
For any of my clients that may be listening, that's going to sound real familiar. At 216 Muscle, we're built on 3 principles, and they do not include the scale. My gym used to be in this building on the 3rd floor, and my clients know they were not allowed to take the elevator. What? Yeah, no, you're here to work out. Take the stairs. But the 3 principles are, number 1, do I feel better physically? And that could be something as simple as that first time you took those 3 flights of stairs where you got to the top, you might have been out of breath and wheezing. A month later, you'll realize just taking 3 flights of stairs has become a simple task. Number 2, do I like the way my clothes fit? Every 6 months of training, you need to be donating your clothes to the Goodwill or the thrift shop or something like that. Don't give yourself the excuse to go back in and put that extra large on when you know you were just in a large a week ago. Do I like the way my clothes fit? And number 3, when I am standing butt naked in the mirror and it's just me, am I happy with what I see? If those 3 things are aligned, you will be healthy, you will be happy, and you will be balanced. And that's the goal. So you don't necessarily need that scale because we talked about the self-criticism. You could be changing physically. You're going to be the last person to recognize it. So that's why we'll use side-by-side photos. That's why we'll use a measuring tape, because you may gain 3 pounds and your waist may be 2 inches smaller. But you got on that scale and you started beating yourself up with self-criticism, and now you want to stop because you don't see the change that's happening within you. And that is also part of it, just building it with love and making sure you're tapping into meeting a person where they're at and having those conversations. All of this comes back together because every trainer's not for everybody. other than you, coach, because I didn't know you did personal training. I've recommended people to every trainer on this panel because I wasn't the trainer for them. I literally have a saved list, and I'm going to get your info to add it to that list of 11 trainers where after having that consultation or that assessment, we figure out I'm not the coach for you, that I will say, hey, one of these people may be. Because in Cleveland, there is no excuse not to have a good trainer. I will put the training community in Cleveland against anywhere else in the world. There is no excuse not to have a good trainer in this community. So if someone doesn't jive with me, I'll tell them this is building a relationship just like any other. And if we find after a couple dates that we ain't supposed to be together, there is someone for you, and here's 11 people for you to choose from. I say you try one of them out.
Take that trainer and double it down and put Whole Fitness.
Amen.
Amen. My foot on that.
It's unmatched. It's it's unmatched, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And so when we talk about building community and building the business, right? For me, what I've learned is in building the business is it's important to have that board of directors, as it were, right? Or that you want to have people around you who know more about a thing than you. I know where my, again, zone of genius is. If there are aspects of my business that are lacking and I don't have the skill set to execute a certain thing, there's somebody who does. And chances are they love to do that thing that I've been procrastinating and putting off and making excuses for why I'm not making progress in this area. But guess what? You get that dream team, and that's how you win. So it looks like on the surface that there is just this person, this personality, this that is just making it happen. But there's somebody who helped me get clear on messaging or who it is I want to talk to and what I want to say when I talk to them and how to make sure that I don't go broke doing it and then I'm doing the things that I need to do in order to allow the business to grow, right? There's that aspect because this looks very, part of the struggle with many of us in our community is that we look at this thing from the outside in and not understanding that this is a top-down operation. Nothing can happen here without the thought process or the shift occurring. And so you see where, and I often compare that to the subject of nutrition, where it's like, well, I've been doing all this in the gym and nothing's happening. Well, what did you eat today? Today? I mean, it's only 2:00. We think that because we see that gross motor, that's where the action is. This is an inside job, y'all, and then we get to talk about that spiritually too, right? So when you're looking at that, the community, your community in the business, make sure that you are tapping people who know more about a thing. One of the most successful women in business I ever looked up to, I remember she was interviewed in a newspaper and they were like, what's your secret? She said, everybody that I employ is smarter than me. That means they have a skill set that she does not have, and she gets to lift them up by leveraging that in order to build a business, right? That creates a really beautiful ecosystem. Now, when we talk about how do I approach the community to allow you to step into my brand, Lifestyle Fitness Training, or LIFT for short, the philosophy is such that you get to train, you have an opportunity. Every passing minute today is an opportunity to turn things around. You get to train mind and body to be fit for the life you want to live. So why am I wanting to get into shape? Because maybe I need to, whatever, even if it's carrying all the groceries in at once. Even if it's so you can play on your grown-up league, or so you can get up the 3 flights of stairs, or so that when you suffer an injury or have to have surgery, you heal faster, you're more adept, there is agility, there's vitality there. You have an opportunity. Again, that's how it works. Here's the thing. We need to listen to our community. We love to, and leading with that ego being that enemy at times. If I decide that I want to give you salmon and you're asking me for, peanut butter and jelly, and I'm using that comparison on purpose because I may think that you need all of this we gotta shoot from the hip and we gotta take it from the top, and it's like, well, I don't have that skill set to get there yet. I don't know how to make salmon yet, but I know how to make this peanut butter and jelly. But if I come out and I'm like, well, I think they need salmon, and then nobody's buying my salmon, I'm not listening. I'm ego driven, and I haven't tapped into. I don't have my finger on the pulse of the community to know what it is they need and what they're asking for. Exactly. Listen to what they say, give them what they need in order to get them, and then one day they're gonna look up and be like, I think I'm ready to make salmon, and we can rock and roll. But you have to, again, have a team with you that cares about your vision, and you allow them to support you in order to support the vision, and then tap into your community to listen to them so that you know, and know your audience too. Because, I mean, like that whole trainer for everybody, that's the reason why that is because if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. You better know who your audience is. I know that it is my mission to support business owners and leaders and visionaries in shifting their relationship with food and movement so that they can make an impact on their organizations and their businesses. I can't reach everybody, but if I can reach some of these leaders out here and they're making a change and then people are looking up to them and then they're creating a shift as a result, guess what? I've made that impact. That's that ripple effect I'm after. We have to know who we're talking to with intention so that we can all thrive in ways that support the greater good so that Cleveland gets to be the consummate hub for fitness enthusiasts so that the communities far and wide look to us and say, yeah, we know it's some hitters there, and we need to learn from them. And that's how we all win.
So we have some bodybuilders in the building. So I would like to know from Marcella, what inspired you to take the journey of being a bodybuilder? How did you get there?
So when I started my fitness journey, I had never imagined going into bodybuilding. I had no desire into going to bodybuilding. Like I looked at it, I was like, that's never gonna be for me. It was the people I surrounded myself with. My fitness community, these are like my family now, my fit sisters, right? I aligned myself with them. And as they were pouring into me, that drive poured and flowed into me as well. And so when I talk to Bree, when I talk to Sam, when I talk to my fitness community, I'm like, And it was me having self-doubt. So I said I never wanted to be a bodybuilder because I never thought I was able to, right? I kept doubting myself. It was that self-sabotaging behavior. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I can never do this. And it was these women, Philly, Ben, Ron, people pouring into me and saying, hey, you can do this. What's stopping you? Take the first step, right? Let's do this. And that's kind of how I shifted my mindset. And it was really right after the pandemic when we were forced to work out at home and I started buying fitness equipment and I was working out in my basement, doing charged up in my basement, doing Ben's classes in my basement at the park, running around. I'm like, okay, I can stick to a regimen. I can be disciplined. And then that transitioned and I'm like, okay, let me find a bodybuilding coach. And I met my coach. And he put me on the plan. I said, okay, I can follow this. And it was staying disciplined to my goal. And I was like, okay, I could do this. And the funny part about bodybuilding, minus winning those trophies, that discipline transitioned to other areas of my life. So instead of now being a bodybuilder, I decided to go back to school for my master's degree. And because I realized that I could be disciplined in this area of my life, I can be disciplined here. And so I went and I was competing and pursuing a degree. Finished it, competed, won trophies. Then I went on and said, hey, if I can be disciplined there, let's see where else I can go. What else can God use me for? So I decided to go back for a doctorate. And so realizing that bodybuilding might have been one goal, okay, but what's next, right? I met that, but what's next? Not stopping here, but continuing.
So we are about to wrap up. However, I would like for I'm sorry, y'all, I'm nervous. But I would like for each person to share why an individual should come to your business or utilize you as a coach, a trainer, a nutritionist. So we can go around the room and share that.
First of all, I was a bodybuilder too. I'm just retired. You done been on my Facebook page. You seen them pictures. All right, not even serious. Okay. In all seriousness, I would say that my specialty is body composition changing and weight management. So if you're looking to, I get why some people don't use the scale. I don't all the time, but sometimes you do, so you can actually break down what it means. Scale, measuring tape, this, that, and the third. If you want that along with a specific kind of nutrition, nothing I do is cookie cutter. My specialty would be stores, so this changed and this is what it means and this is why it's doing that. So if you want that, that's the kind of training you want starting at 5 a.m., then we can do with that.
I do a lot of athletic fitness training for athletes, whether you play basketball, football, lacrosse, soccer, whatever it may be. And I think the difference between my agility, speed training, strength training is I start with the feet. 25% of the muscles, tendons, and ligaments in the whole body are in your foot. So when you come to me, 90% of the workouts you're going to be doing them barefoot. You can actually strengthen the foot and the ankle complex, which is your foundation, which then you're going to be able to move faster, be stronger, and be able to be more agile and increase your speed in your 40 if you so choose to.
Coming to me, you gain knowledge, you gain information, you gain your self-esteem. And in the process, you become a much better person, a much better boss. I'm pro-entrepreneurship, so everybody around me knows that if you want to talk about stepping outside to do something different, I can help. I'm resourceful. I'm definitely not selfish in this industry, and that's me.
Okay, so coming to me, my brand is Me Versus Me, and as a nurse, one of the things that I've noticed that that is drawn to me is I train right now. Most of my clients, I train a lot of people that have ailments such as diabetes, thyroid issues, a lot of health issues where they, being told what they can't do because of this or they can't do because of that. So I kind of bridge the two together the three actually, between the fitness, the nutrition, and then the health aspect of it. And I really break down and work with them to show that I know what the doctor said, but this is what God said, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. So those people who didn't think that they could be a better version of them because of their ailments or illnesses or whatnot, high blood pressure, diabetes, or whatever is going on, they begin to realize, oh, yes, I can, that they can beat this. I've had some people even get off the medication since coming to me for training. So if you're that person that's looking for someone that can understand you on a holistic level as far as from a physical, a mental, a spiritual, and a health-wise, that's me. Oh, you got it, Mike.
Well, Fit Forever You is Fit Forever You as an individual, becoming fit forever. It's also Fit Forever University. It's an institution for the advancement of knowledge. So what I coach on is making any intangible attainable by securing the bag. A lot of people say they know the bag, how to get to the bag, but the bag is your blessings, acknowledging those daily, your accomplishments, the victories you're achieving, and pursuing your goals. And I had the opportunity during COVID, because, it's just the renaissance about 4 days ago when we all had to shut down. So I'm just want to kind of bring it back when God had all of us sit down at the same dang time and realize what we want to do with our lives. I have been battling for a long time, being a chest-to-chest person and coach, but now what I'm going to do, and from that begat the Fit Forever virtual experience. So now I have clients all over the world that I talk myself out of trying to go this route because I wouldn't set myself up virtually. The screen's going to bounce around when I'm teaching. It's not going to be enough people. But now I got cousins that aren't my cousins, that are someone else's cousins in different states that are all part of the Fit Forever family. So that's what you get by aligning with Fit Forever You.
The way that I support my clients, and as aforementioned, really the focus, or those who've been drawn to me, I put it like that, because again, out of obedience, I had to look at my roster at one time and say, what do all these people have in common? And what they had in common was I mirrored their experiences. They were leaders in their respective fields or business owners and really good at those things, right? But suffering with a blind spot when it comes to their personal wellness. and not knowing that there's someone who gets to be part of their personal board of directors, right? In really creating a shift in lifestyle, really shifting that food and movement relationship. And also where I found those that I work with, why we work so well together is because there is that appreciation for accountability, because it is their job for the most part to hold others accountable. So they need that soft place to land, and they respect that expertise that they don't have, right? So, and then also my joke, it's funny because it's true, the best jokes are the truest ones, the ones that, step on toes, right? Raise your hand if you have run out of space in your phone because of what you have screenshot, bookmarked, and so on and so forth, recipes and IG workouts that are nonsensical and all that. What have you done with those things? So my specialty is wellness strategy, so that you get to create shape and form out of those things that you no longer do they just literally take up space, right? You get to put them into action, and it allows you to learn how to fish as opposed to me giving you fish. And that's why that virtual aspect really works, having clients all over the country and having those precious moments when you do, there's that jewel of a time where you maybe meet somebody in person and it's like, there's a flow through, right? And again, being in a space, I came to that similar to you where it's like, okay, pandemic, but I had virtual, I had a hybrid kind of situation going on prior to pandemic. But what made me really lean into that aspect and really teaching strategy is because if you're only getting the thing done when I see you, it's not working. If you're saying, I just really need you to just be in front of me to tell me one more rep, and then that's therein has its place, and we all benefit from those type of scenarios, right? That community is important, and that human connection is important. But if it's not an effectual working if it's not consistent, regardless of where you are. I love being able to create strategy with my clients around, all right, we're traveling for work this week. What does that get to look like? Are we planning what's to eat around there? Now, clients, they're not booking hotels if it doesn't have a gym. They're not booking hotels in food deserts, right? Or Airbnb these days, okay, so do we have our shopping list? Do we know, are we going to make sure that we're letting the people around us know what time we're on so that we don't have the excuse of, but somebody else was cooking and they don't do it like I do. Well, then you do it like you do, right? Accountability is key. And so you come to me to become a better leader, business owner, guide, visionary, and now you get to be the actual master of your respective universe.
So at 216 Muscle, I kind of pride myself on being a training coach. I tell my clients all the time that if you're coming in here and you're really locked in and you're willing to listen and pay attention, after a year of training, you should be able to build your own programming. You should be able to plan your nutrition. At this point, you're paying a coach for accountability, mentorship, and to make sure you're showing up for yourself. But you should know how to work out after a year of training with me. You should know how to handle your nutrition after a year of training with me. I train everything from children to high school athletes to professional athletes. So, we do strength and conditioning. We have group fitness classes. But the major thing is a balanced approach to health and wellness. So if you're looking to train with me, you can visit 216muscle.com. And we've got everything for you because we got the group fitness classes, we've got small group training, and we have personal training.
So I might actually be the only one on this panel that's not a trainer yet.
Okay, keyword.
But I'm the accountability partner. So I have people message me all the time with their goals, and I'm holding them accountable. I'm dragging them to the gym. I have a couple of friends now, 5:30 in the morning. We meet at the gym a few days a week, and we're working out. We're doing cardio. They're asking me, asking for advice about what to eat, asking for advice about how much cardio to do, what to lift. I'm watching their form. So not a trainer yet. Coming soon.
But by practice.
Right.
Just not by time.
Still, yeah.
So coming soon.
We did not talk about nutrition. So if some people can hit on nutrition, and then I would like to bring up Aquila. She's a therapist, and I think it's important that we, everybody to each his own. We talked about different coaches, and it's amazing to have an emotional coach. Someone can help you get through the self-sabotaging behaviors, the self-criticism, the lack of loving yourself. You can have that discussion. So she'll come up and share her information. She's looking at me like, girl, but that a therapist is important. So let's hit on nutrition right quick.
When it comes to nutrition, it's heavy. It's heavy because it is, it's a heartbreaking industry at times because it can be convoluted. There's so much information out there. There's so much misinformation out there. And from the approach that I take, it's evidence-based. It's not arbitrary. It's not because I'm being paid to sell it. It's not because it's never an extreme tactic. It's always with that education knowledge base and that education on how to choose your foods that work for you. Shifting the mindset, because I can go in any particular direction. I'm a scientist and I will properly geek out, but this is not the time. That's why you should reach out if you need support on that area for me. So, but when it comes to that mindset shift, so let's be honest. When we talk about food, all of us can relate to how we use food to celebrate, right? If there's a meeting, is there food, right? Is it, you talked about going somewhere after this because somebody about to celebrate an anniversary, so food, right? We mourn with food. We get through study sessions with food. We sell all the things, right? So we have to respect the part that food plays, and it's not just fuel. Because we sitting up here we can tout that food is fuel, that's obvious, right? Where that gap is understanding that there's that emotional connection with food. Yeah. And there's a relationship that we all have with food, whether it's insecurity or food aggression and things of that nature. So are we addressing why that is the case? And that's where the shift occurs. I've worked with people who maybe it's okay, we need to take a step back because you're not maybe as ready. And then they come back to me and they say, you know what, I got with a therapist and I have experienced fat loss now. Because the mindset shift, something has shifted in a way where they're tapping into deeper issues behind that relationship with food. So that's something that we get to respect and we truly get to acknowledge. And for me, as I'm talking to people about how they're fueling themselves, I invite you to get curious. I invite you to ask questions. I invite you, this is a nice litmus test. If someone gives you a recommendation and they're telling you that this gets to be what you're gonna do, now there's a time and a season for everything, right? In order to get them trophies, there's certain things you gotta do, but you know that that's not the way that you're going to be living every day, right? And that's an extreme sport, for real. So, again, there's a time and place for everything, but we're talking about somebody who's just trying to get the best results possible. Ask yourself if you have been given a recommendation that you can't sustain for the rest of your life, you need to call it into question. You have the ability, you get to ask questions and show up for yourself and advocate for yourself. Don't just believe because somebody said, oh, here's the latest tea or whatever the case may be. Oh, that makes my soul itch. Because it's well, where's the come from? Where's the evidence? Where's the science? What does it do and why? Ask questions. There's way too much information out here that we are just allowing ourselves to receive, and it's an error and it's irresponsible. And so that's why I am very intentional about how I make recommendations that I make, whether or not you need to be referred out if this goes deeper than your ability to prep a meal, right? And knowing that, again, it doesn't have to be extreme. And it's not going to look like what you, and also too, when we talk about this last thing I'll say for today is when we talk about how we view food, good or bad, I want to invite y'all to trash that today. There is no good or bad food. It's just about what aligns with your goals. Case in point, good food, chicken breast, broccoli, brown rice. Hey, right? That may not be good for a vegan who has celiac issues. That's a bad food to a vegan. The chicken ain't happening, you know. If you've got diverticulitis, rice ain't happening, okay? So this good or bad, this polarization that we have in these opinions, this is why we get extreme and we can't sustain the results. And then now you have annihilated your metabolism because you've starved, and now the hunger cues stop talking to you, they whisper, and then they just go silent because they're not listening to us anyway. And then wondering why, I don't eat all the time. Why am I walking around with this excess? Because your body's trying to keep you alive because it's smarter than us sometimes. So recognize and respect that it gets to look like something different for everybody. And for the love of everything holy, the reason why we're here today, please fuel yourselves, okay? Who the first one of us is trying to go to Cincinnati on a quarter tank? I mean, you could try, right? And you know what? Even in riding around the city day to day, riding around with a quarter tank is going to abuse your fuel pump. And eventually you're gonna have to have work done on the car that you didn't need to. Fuel appropriately, and by the way, you're not putting water in the tank. So it's not just fuel, it's about the quality of the fuel that you're using, right? Get intentional and know that it's not an overnight thing. It's not normal you might lose 10 pounds in the first week of something. Somebody says, well, you know what, the tea worked for me because I lost 10 pounds in a week from now or whatever. But you know what you also did? You probably stopped eating refined starches, right? You stopped drinking that nightcap. You did, the person who gave you that tea, they said, you know what, make sure you cut this stuff out too. And it wasn't that. It was the water weight that you shed, and then now we're back on that loop because after a while we plateau because we're not meant to, if you lose it in a way that is unsustainable, you're not gonna keep it off for long. It's like winning the lottery and not having the financial education to be able to flip that, right? And that's why folks go broke in a year out from hitting that big ticket because you weren't accustomed, you don't have an appreciation for how you got it. Whereas when we can talk about generational wealth, you've been taught skills and you know how to manage that wealth. And so if you've been given the right recommendations to allow you to sustain that thing, now you are living off the interest, right? As opposed to, oh no, I'm not gonna sustain this because I don't have an appreciation for getting there. And then you're wondering why your body's not responding to these extreme tactics anymore. I denounce it all. Eat whole foods. Eat whole foods that you like. Enjoy them. And don't beat yourself up because it's about balance. And when I say balance, I don't mean like being everywhere, doing everything all at once. I mean showing up in the moments that matter. And sometimes, you know what? Yeah. It is an alignment to have that catfish sandwich. Because you're celebrating something. But we not about out here like eating catfish sandwiches like every day. Okay? Because what that look like? So it just, again, showing up in the moments that matter. There are times where it's okay to have a cupcake to celebrate your child's birthday or whatever the case may be, right? That moment mattered. So that's not a good or bad food. We don't punish ourselves that way because we're saying we're good or I was good today, so I'm because I didn't eat something or I was bad today. That's you judging yourself. And we were told not to do that because we don't have the capacity to do that. We don't have the right. So you are that self-criticism shows up big time, and then that perpetuates more indulgence and then more stress eating and it just continues to spiral you. It doesn't serve. So that's the first approach. I'm not gonna tell you to make sure you eat. I mean, I am, like when we get down into it, okay, for example, eat 5 fruits and vegetables a day or whatever. Yes, but how do you get there? And why is that important? And which 5 fruits and vegetables? And where do I start? And what if I don't know how to cook rutabaga? I know, exactly. So demand to be educated. Don't just take them at their word. And guess what? Your macro ranges don't look like mine, and my preferences don't look like yours. So let's continue to appreciate the differentiation of application when it comes to our nutrition.
So what Coach was saying is, far as those macros, that's just a big word for food, your proteins, your carbs, your water, and your healthy fats. Learn to eat for your body type. There's 3 different body types. Real quick: endomorph, ectomorph, mesomorph. Endomorph, ectomorph, mesomorph. So Google those and then take a look in the mirror and get a resemblance of what you look like. And then just to answer, I believe, was Jessica's question. No coach up here, I'm pretty sure, talks about diet. The first 3 letters in the word die, it is die. We coach on how to heal and eat healthy. So find a professional and reach out to whoever you felt touched you today.
I would say, in addition to what they both just said, one of the biggest things when it comes to nutrition that I had to learn for myself, because I struggle with food and I struggle with weight loss, that's why I became a nutrition coach, is no matter what you're eating, you have to make sure you're burning off more than you're taking in order to have that deficit. You're not going to, I see some of the questions coming across the screen, you're not going to lose weight by burning off 500 calories, but then you go to a buffet and say, well, I went to the gym today. It's not going to work like that. So without getting geeky, there has to be a deficit there. There has to be something extra you're burning off that you're not consuming so that your body can start that shred. Because without that deficit, it's not going to happen. If you're eating you're eating healthy and you're eating your proper nutrition and you're eating what's for your body type and all that, but you're sedentary and you're doing absolutely nothing, you're not going to lose. Even eating the most healthiest of things, you're not going to lose if you're not in the gym, if you're not outside, if you're not somewhere getting that physical aspect of it, and make sure you're burning off more than you're consuming, versus the other way around, where a lot of people think because I go to the gym, I can just eat whatever and it's going to be okay. And then when it's not, then they're not happy and they're upset about it because they feel like, I'm wasting my time.
I think the piece that will close the loop on that, the deficit is important, and you shouldn't always be in a deficit. There got to be a point where you're at maintenance, right? So that your body can actually learn to work with the metabolic processes, right? So that you don't end up eating muscle. And then it turns into the deficit that morphs into the calorie, the quality of the nutrients that you're taking in, right? So that you can hang tight. We should not always be in a deficit, but you got to get to a point where it all balances out. So, and I think that's the piece that are missing with a lot of folks. They just think that, and then that's that diet mentality where I always got to be losing. Well, maybe your body is set to be at a certain weight. For whatever reason, 195 is mine happy pay. It's just, okay, this is where we at. This is what we doing. But guess what? I can pull the foundation up if I need to. And so it gets to be a different aspect of what that nutrition gets to look like for a person.
Just to keep it real simple, I'm going to take it back to being biblical. In the first chapter of the Bible, God talks about what you should eat. We talked about fueling a car. If I have a Lamborghini, it takes a certain type of oil, takes a certain type of gas. If I got a Corolla, if I look it up in the manual, it tells me what type of gas, what goes inside that Corolla in order for it to ride efficiently and for it to last as long as it can. So with that, God gave us the same thing biblically. He said in the first chapter of the Bible that I will give you seed-bearing plants, leafy green vegetables. These are the things that we should put inside our body. But we have been smarter than God, and so we didn't add additives, preservatives, pesticides, everything to make food more, GMOs. We done made all kind of different foods, but if we just keep it simple and find the seed-bearing plants according to your geographical area. So that's another thing that we should understand, that we should eat according to our geographical area. Not just necessarily that I need to eat other stuff from other places. And it's fine that you do it every once in a while, but we should eat most of the time what is in our geographical area, seed-bearing plants. Then 9 chapters later, he said that you will have the fowl of the air, that you have the beast of the sea, and they have the creepy crawly things, and you should eat these things. But we have been smarter than him, because when we put them full of hormones, we want to mass produce them, so we put all kind of different things inside them. So that's why we have a lot of the nutrition that goes into our body. We should shop for our local farmers, go and talk to our local farmers, and find out exactly what are they growing and what are they putting inside the meat. And then if you go to some of these local farmers, which is, I'm going to put this out there, Cernan's farm, which I went and visited myself, and the cows and everything that they feed is, they feed them from the grass. They don't give them hormones or anything. But it costs like $10 a pound, because it takes her 3 years to raise one calf to slaughter, not 6 months at McDonald's. Okay? That's the difference. And so, like you said, not getting to all the science of it and everything like that, but we need to educate ourselves. Leafy green vegetables, nuts and seeds, lean meats, and then everything else we can. Like I did, my son's birthday was yesterday, and I had me one of them nut and butter cakes. Man, them dopes is good. But I'm not eating nut and butter cake every day. You can have it every once in a while, but what do you put in your body 99% of the time? God bless.
I was going to touch on that too. You can't eat right Monday through Friday and then say, I did good. All right, the weekend here, right? You can't work out Monday through Friday, and then when the weekend comes, you turn that switch off. It's a lifestyle. All day, every day. You can have a cheat meal, not a cheat day, not a cheat week, not a cheat month, and not a cheat year, right? It's a day.
You said a cheat year?
Hey, I've seen it. People, I'm on my off year, right? So you can have a cheat meal. You can eat right throughout the week. Make sure it's sustainable. You don't have to do these big drastic highs and big drastic lows. You don't have to feed salads and cucumbers 24/7, right? Make it sustainable.
Let me say one thing. So the year started with Cat Williams going on Club Shay Shay, and everyone went on the internet and claimed that 2024 was the year of the truth. So let's get a little honest. When people call any of these folks, do not waste their time. And what I mean by that is the biggest aspect, whether it's maintenance, deficit, growth phase, whatever phase you're in, the biggest, I don't want to get into the locker room talk, but let's just say that one of the things about not wasting the trainer's time is not doing everything that brought you to them in the first place. So that goes into your way didn't work, which is why you called them. And so if your way didn't work and you called them and you're still doing it your way, understand why they don't want to do business with you anymore. Or, some people say, I fired this client, I let this client go, we severed business ties. And that's getting into the mindset of, I'm not ready yet, or things like that. So listen to you. You're seeking out the advice. So don't ask for the advice and then go do your own thing. Your own thing is what brought you to them. That's point one. Point number two. So you said no cheat day, month, year. Year's a lot. So what I will say is, Ben spoke on Cleveland being the fitness hub, right? So let me take myself out the equation. I'm removing myself. On this panel, we have some of the dopest class instructors. So I'm speaking to a specific demographic of people that like to pocket calories. It doesn't work. So when you come, you said don't eat at 2 o'clock, so I'm gonna treat myself, right? What I'm speaking to is the demographic of people that will wake up, starve, go do charged up at 10 a.m. on Thanksgiving and use it as an excuse for gluttony. It's not the right thing to do. What I'm talking about is somebody that will salad for the week and say, Ben's got Sunday service coming up, so I'm going to do that, and this Apple Watch is my excuse to then go to Golden Corral. It's not the right way to go. So in that regard, it's, again, if you're seeking out the information and the knowledge from the people, then respect it to the effect of your way didn't work and give that a shot. That's all I ask.
Elder Linda has a question. She has been giving us amens and everything. Give her a mic right quick.
I don't really need the mic.
Okay.
You want me to have it? Give it here. I'm going to be obedient to everything that's going on. First of all, I want to say thank you to Prophet Michael D. Watson and Prophet Moneecia for hosting this event. And those online, I hope you all took notes. But what I want to say is, when I was at the weight of 289 pounds, I was full of wisdom and knowledge and all these things God gave me. But I couldn't function. I would just sit there like the batteries in the pack until you actually put them in something and turn it on. And I want to tell you what motivated me. I hope you all come back. We need a part 2. Seriously, we need a part 2. We maybe need a demonstration or something like that. But I want to say to Philly that I've known the Whedon family for years, and I watched him and his twin grow up, but you don't even know how you have motivated people. I would see women who I was at the highest weight of 290, and I would see women my size following you. And I'm like, ain't no way, they ain't losing no weight. What they following this man for? But the self-esteem, the encouragement that you exude, and I'm saying everybody on this panel, I kudos to you all. I have learned so much today. If you want to get better, you have to surround yourself with the people who can help you do it. If you want to buy a house, you don't go to somebody that rents all the time. You know, if you want a new car, you don't hang with people who ride the bus every day. If you want to be a millionaire, guess what? You better find somebody who is one. A good marriage. And I found that in you. And I've never been to your studio, but I went and bought me a Stairmaster. I bought me a bike. I got a treadmill. I got the bands. And I went from 289 pounds down from a 24, 26 to an 810, which is what I wear now, 10, 12.
Wow, that is amazing.
So I just wanted to say that, but I needed therapy too to help me understand that I had to give up some of them desserts and things like that. So thank all of you. I hope you all come back, and I'm not disrespecting anybody, but I just wanted Philly to know you don't even know the plus size women that you have inspired to go and buy a treadmill. I'm not talking about the little people. I'm talking about the people who were my size. That we work out. And I saw them on them things, and I'm like, they all out of breath and everything. I'm like, Lord, if they can do it at 72 years old, I can too. Amen. Thank you.
So if therapist Aquila can come up here, I would like to share. My name is Moneecia Johnson. I am the talk show host of Breakout Talk. I also have an audience in my own show on Facebook and YouTube. It's called Pillars. Look, I'm so nervous.
Did she do great today? What, y'all? Give her some love. My God, this was amazing. You did amazing. Just so you know.
Present Pillars. And their perspectives of community and faith. And so on Facebook, I interview different people who are in the community, who have businesses, who are entrepreneurs, who are making a change in Cleveland, Ohio, along with those who are in the spiritual, in church, as in apostles and prophets. And my goal is to make people aware of God and also different things that the church may not speak about. So if you can join me on Facebook, my name is Moneecia Johnson, Moneecia Johnson, and I'm also on YouTube. And so today I hope you were inspired, but before we leave, this is the last person to talk, is Aquila. She's a therapist, and if Aquila, if you can share the importance of therapy and also your information, that would be great.
Of course, right? My name is Aquila Wheatley. I'm a licensed therapist in the state of Ohio. One thing that I wanted to bring to the table, because you all kind of really touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to, especially you touched on it a lot. Stages of change. Okay. There is pre-contemplation, right, where I don't really know anything's going on. I'm living my life, I'm doing my thing, right? Then there's the contemplation stage, where I know something is wrong, but I'm not ready. I sense, okay, this not fitting right, or I don't want to, but I'm not ready. Then there is a stage where we kind of go into preparation, okay? So I know something's wrong. I'm kind of getting to it. I might have signed up for a gym, but I ain't never go. You know what I mean? I might have called a couple of these professionals and wasted some time, in all honesty, because I'm preparing, but I'm not ready yet, right? And then there is the action stage. That's when you want to call them, just by the way. And that's when you're actually ready to take action. You've gone through all of those other stages of change, and you are ready to do something, and do something consistently. After that, there's the maintenance stage, okay? So after that, you have to get to maintaining it. So it has to be something that you can continue on. It can't be a goal that is so outrageous that you can't maintain it. When you talk about being in a deficit all the time, that affects your mental health. That affects your emotional health. If you're not eating, if you're not feeding yourself, if you're not, feeding your brain, you're going to be foggy, you're going to be irritable, you're going to be sleepy, you're not going to be operating at your best self at all. So you have to be mindful of who you are. You have to set goals, I say smart goals, that are reasonable, that are attainable, that are timely, right? Set those goals and then get to a place of maintenance where you can maintain that, where it can become a lifestyle for you, because it's very important.
Thank you for sharing. Also share that you have your own show as well. Share that. People can check you out and get a demonstration. If she's the therapist for you, she is pretty dope, y'all. Go ahead, share it.
I have my own practice, and supportiveadvice.com, right? So if you're looking for a therapist, I do marriage and family therapy, individual therapy, family therapy, and you can find me there. I also have a podcast, Supportive Advice Live. It airs on Thursdays on Facebook and YouTube. And upcoming, I'll be on, I knew that's what you were talking about. Upcoming, there is a new show that I'll be doing called Damage Control on Cleveland Zone 95.9 WOVU. So be sure to check that out.
Yes. So, again, I would like to thank all of my guests. And do you see how we came together today? They all came to support me at Breakout Talk. They didn't have to, but I appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you so much. So this concludes Breakout Talk, and thank you for watching. Thank you for coming, and reach out to you, a trainer, an accountability partner. All right, see y'all. Have a good day.